What's up, guys? Welcome back, man, to another episode of the Sim Standard Podcast. Myself, SimFBallCritic, Smitty. We got Azure back for the second week, looking fresh. I think my man
Ha.
just got off of work, so we do it all, man. We do it all, and the show must go on, no matter how we dress, where we at, whatever. We gonna make it happen some kind of way. So let's get into it, man. So y'all know how we start off. Let me let you guys know. Y'all probably hear an iPad in the background. Got my little man right here in front of me. Daddy daycare tonight, at least for about an hour or two. So, it is what it is. Y'all know we're family men. We don't apologize for that. So y'all got to deal with that. It is what it is. So anyway, man, we're going to start off by talking about everybody's week, how our week has gone, our football teams, real quick, and then we'll jump into the topics and we'll let you guys know what we intend on covering. So throwing it to Smitty first and foremost, man, how was your week and your current thoughts on your Detroit Lions?
A week was good, just to keep it real brief. I didn't get to see the game, so I can't really speak on it. I only got to catch like the tail end of it. So I mean, look, we got key dudes that are missing and everything, but still, nevertheless, we still got to come away with the W, man. Like, we got to win, like, seriously. I don't think that it's like I said, the big problem that we have is not that the defense can't, that our defense can't make the plays and can't make the stops. They make stops, but our offense isn't delivering. And then Stafford with his hand hurt again. Now, is Jake Rudock? I think he's supposed to get the start, but I don't know if that's 100%. So, like, you still got key players that are out. And I mean, for a team that's trying to build and trying to come up, you gotta have key dudes around, and you can't have your key guys out like that. And then depending upon the next man up, because those next men up haven't been able to get the job done to the fullest extent. Regardless, they're not people that you could just use for the long haul. You need some guys back, and I know every team's got their situation. But still, you got key dudes that are still active. That's just like saying, that's like if Antonio Brown or Le'Veon Bell were gone or whatever. Like, it's a big time impact. You know what I mean? It's like that's a big time part of our team, and we have key guys, especially along the O-line, that aren't there. And that was a big time, that was the big emphasis for us this season in the off season was our O-line getting revamped. And to see some of the, like I said, TJ Lang still out. So it's like, we need dudes. We need guys to be active. And I really don't know how things are going to go this week. Cause I know we're playing Tampa Bay. I don't know how things are going to go with that. It's a mixed bag. I think they said that Winston is supposed to play. So we'll see how that goes. But at this point, Lions got a real slim chance. Like, they're in the hunt, but they basically got to win all these games in order for them to be about anything going forward, to possibly go forward and hopefully make a playoff, get a playoff spot. So we'll see what happens, though.
Yeah, man. AZ, how was your week, man, and how you feeling about the Titans currently?
Good week, man. It's been going slow motion. For those of you all who don't know, I'm a teacher, so next week we get out for Christmas break. We'll be out 2 weeks. So I'm counting down, man. It's getting crunch time. So I'm happy about that. Titans, man. Surprisingly, right now, I don't know. I've been unhappy with their performances. We saw it again this week. Played the Texans, played around with them. Texas almost won, but they ended up, pulling it off. And Derrick Henry, man, for that man to be 6'3", 240 pounds, man, he's never been caught from behind once he get out in the open field. So that's kind of crazy, kind of impressive for him, man. But and prayers to Shazier, man. I saw that, man. I was like, man, that did not look good. And then when we saw him roll over and his legs weren't moving, I was like, man, you can pray for this man right now.
Yeah.
So, prayers to him and his family. Hopefully he recovers. And even if he's not able to, play football again, man, just to be able to walk,
right?
Enjoy the rest of his life. Because, man, it's tough, man. And I don't know about Burfict. He got hurt too. Juju cracked the snot out of him.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's funny because somebody posted it and I retweeted it. It was the same block that Hines Ward threw, like, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
You saw that?
Yep.
Yeah. On Rivers. And they wear the same number, man. So it was eerily reminiscent, man. But that's old school football. You got to keep your head on the swivel. And Juju just caught him, man. But, like I said, prayers to Shazier. But Titans, again, they go out to Arizona this week, and they actually going to stay out there because they play the 49ers the next week. So they're going to be 2 weeks on the road instead of traveling. I guess the theory behind it is instead of putting their bodies through coming all the way back to the East Coast, they're going to stay out there and just play 2 games while they're out there. So we'll see the result of that. The Cardinals did us a favor and they beat Jacksonville, but now we got to beat them. So it should be coming down to a Week 17 battle for the division and probably playoff spot between the Jags and the Titans. But we'll see because we're both 8-4, and I think they play the Texans maybe this week. I don't know, but their schedule is a lot easier than ours because we play the Rams, 49ers, but hey, any given Sunday you can get beat. So, we saw the 49ers pull out a win. They can beat the Titans, if the Titans not playing good. So, Garoppolo looks like he might be a little something out there.
Yeah. Watch out next year.
Watch out next year is right. I'm really surprised that they played him this year. I think that they would probably give him a little bit more time, but he looked good, in his first stint. But yeah, like you said, watch out next year, especially they got cap room galore and they can bring in people, in free agency to kind of fit that system. And they'll be like, the Falcons were last year in that system. So hopefully looking forward to another Titans win. Run the ball, man. That's all I got to say. Run the ball, play good defense. Defense has been playing great. Run the ball, play defense. It's that time of year. So, if you want to beat a Pittsburgh, you want to beat a New England, you got to, win the games ugly, and you got to be able to run the ball, play defense. Because right about now, it comes down to, do you have a quarterback that can win if relied upon? Can you stop somebody? How's your defense? And can you run the ball if conditions are bad? And the Titans can run the ball. I don't know about the other two. The defense can be sometimes iffy. They're playing well. They're streaky of late. But I don't know. Mariota, he's like a young McNair in a sense that he's going to make some mistakes sometimes. And honestly, he should run a little bit more than he does. He should still be safe, but he showed his wheels a little bit last time. But I don't want to ramble on, but I'm happy with where they are. 8-4 over where they were last year. Playoffs are in sight. So
yeah, man, looking at the standings, I mean, it's very possible the Titans and the Jags could get in. That's what's interesting because
true. Yeah, true.
It's crazy looking at Pittsburgh, man. Like I told everybody, after the bye, I said I think we'll go 6-2 the remainder of the season because we went 6-2 the first part. And I said Cincinnati or the Ravens, you might lose that game because it's hard to sweep a divisional opponent. They got Cincinnati, so don't be surprised, Steelers fans. We could lose Sunday against the Ravens. We already beat them pretty decently earlier in the season in the second half, so they're going to be ready. And also, they're in the hunt at 7-5. And speaking of what AZ just said, you let a team like that get in the playoffs with that defense, could be some trouble. Joe Flacco and the receivers ain't really a lot to worry about, even though it was surprising seeing what they were able to do against Detroit. That surprised me. But consistently over the season, and Dez probably would be able to agree with this, that offense hasn't really been there. They can run the ball a little bit with Collins. You know, I kind of like what he does for the Ravens, even though it is the Ravens. Seems to fit with them. So you would expect the Ravens to get in if they continue to win. They got a fairly decent schedule, especially after Sunday. But the Jags and the Titans could both slide in there because everybody else is hovering at that, 6-loss like mark.
I hate to say it, but man, the Jags scare me.
Yes, yeah. Bortles though. If anybody else than Bortles.
Bortles and Mariota, because I'll take Mario over Bortles, but Bortles, he can have a game where he goes 7 for 7 and eat you up downfield. Then he have a game where he throw the ball 50 times and they got Fournette in the backfield and you're like, what in the world are they doing? He throw like 3 interceptions.
Exactly.
So
that defense.
Defense though. Oh man, I hate them on Madden too. Kia. Man, dog.
That defense is serious, and that I look at them right now, just looking at the teams who you think gonna get in. The Jags and the Ravens could cause an upset to somebody, at least in the first round, because those defenses. I just don't trust Bortles. I would trust Flacco, even though I don't think Flacco is a great quarterback. Serviceable, of course. I trust him more to win a game than Blake Bortles. So you would think, to me, I think the Ravens could be a big threat, and your Titans, man, as far as that run game. I mean, the Steelers, I don't know what kind of game we pulled out against the Titans. To me personally, I told AZ before, it was a lot of mistakes made by the Titans that helped Steelers get off like that. I don't think it's going to be that type of story if y'all get in the playoffs.
I knew it was going to be that type of game just because the Titans hadn't played the Steelers in a while. They were playing in Pittsburgh on a short week. I just didn't – if we pulled that out, it was going to be a miracle. Now, that if we would have won that game, that probably would have catapulted us, confidence-wise into a different realm to say that, okay, we beat one of the best teams in the AFC. And maybe, down the stretch, they would kind of falter. But they went up there and they got their butts kicked by a better team. And, now they're starting to win ugly, which is a playoff type of, win with the run game and defense. But we'll see.
Yeah, they got a shot.
Pittsburgh and New England are the cream of the crop. And how Kansas City, like, what in the world? What kind of fall off is that? I'm sorry, Chiefs fans, but they were looking like the best team in the league, and then it's just like they hit week 8 or so, and it was just like, we done.
It's like they say, it's a marathon, man. What Jay-Z say, you start off fast, then you're wheezing in the back.
Yeah.
It's a marathon, man. It's crazy, but real quick, man, just on the Steelers, and then we can get going with the topics. Wow, man. Kind of like what AZ said, watching the game from a guy who played sports, Shazier's reaction, I immediately was like, uh-oh. It was no, I wonder if he's hurt. I knew he was hurt. Think about as soon as the hit happened, the man reached for his back instantly. And not even that. When you saw him put his hands up and he was trying to move his hands and trying to figure out what's working, I was like, he hurt, man. Like, that's a real problem. And his legs wasn't moving. So, like AZ said, immediately I was like, yo, forget football. I just hope he recovers because realistically, we still haven't heard if the dude even has any feeling or if he can move his legs. We did find out that he had the surgery done today to stabilize the spine, and they're saying that the bones around his spine is dislocated. So they're saying, man, he's months away, from a recovery. So he's definitely not playing. And then one doctor said, I mean, they don't even know at this point if football is in his future. And I'm like, that's a tough blow, man. I mean, not even just for football, for being a fan, but the dude is 25. He's on his last year of his rookie contract. Just think this could be the end. Good thing he was a first-round pick because, you would assume, I think his contract, he probably made about $5 or $6 million. I'm guessing, maybe, I don't know, but at least that. So you would hope that everything would still be straight on that end as far as money. And then, man, if you get an injury like that, let's be real. Mentally, you might not want to play football no more. Being 25, having a young kid, and having a fiance, his mind, he might be like, that's it. I'm done. And you couldn't blame him. So tough loss for us, man. And real quick, what I'll say about the team, I still never know what team is going to show up, man. I don't like the Steelers being the new cardiac kids all of a sudden these last 3 weeks. The last 3 weeks have come down to a field goal. And the offense have played out of their mind in the second half, and the defense has played out of their mind in the second half. I don't think that works against a New England or any team playoff-wise. Like Azure said, imagine if we play the Titans again and they playing great like they did in the first half in that meeting, and then you get the run game going with Henry and Murray. That's a game the Steelers could lose very easy. Or the Ravens in the playoffs, or anybody. So I'm scared about the up and down of the Steelers. It's good to see that they're resilient, but I don't know, man. And when you look at the defense, this is still probably the year we probably still won't get New England. Not next week. No Joe Hayden, no Ryan Shazier, which you guys have no idea how much that's important to the run game. I mean, we'll see. It's good to be sitting at 10-2. You would assume that the Steelers, again, looking at the schedules, you assume that they would probably be able to at least be the second seed, especially if they win Sunday. I don't think it's a must win for us, though. Like I said, how easy or how hard is it to sweep the Ravens? You got to expect a split in that situation. So if they come to Heinz Field and get us back from earlier in the year, that's not the end of the world. But I think the Steelers would still end up being the second seed. But if they win this game, then I think it's a wrap. They clinch if they win this game. Automatically the division winner if they get this one. But we'll see. Should be a great game, man. And I wanted to speak real quick, guys, on the Juju thing real fast. Public perception is so funny to me, man. You look at Twitter. Like, I see so many people saying, oh, he's a dirty player. Troy Aikman is speaking crazy. And I mean, the way John Gruden and them was talking during the game, I'm like, come on, man. At the end of the day, if you look at the play, you look at it in slow motion, he did lean in with the shoulder, and he was a little high. That's a penalty. Was it a dirty play? No. You see crack blocks. Matter of fact, I want to say Julio Jones or somebody did something like that last week in the Minnesota game. It wasn't a dirty play, in my opinion. You see that happen all the time. Just unfortunate, it was a little high. He's supposed to get a flag. I don't think it deserves a suspension because the way they wrote up the suspension, and I'm not being biased here, even though you see the Steelers banner in the back, they said in the suspension that it was because of a violation of a safety rule, helmet to the head or whatever. But then they said also conduct. So he gets suspended now because of the taunt. Now, the taunting was wrong, no doubt about it, but he's a 20-year-old kid, 21-year-old kid in the heat of the moment against Burfict. Is it surprising that the dude might stand over you like, yeah, that's what whatever he said? He lost his head. Penalize him, fine. Give him a fine, cool. But suspending him for that, and then they take his back. So basically, if you're saying that Ioka's, I don't even know if I'm saying his name right, but y'all know what I'm talking about, this safety for the Bengals. If you take his hit back, and you're saying he's not suspended, you're basically saying Juju gets suspended for taunting. That's absolutely crazy. And how does Gronkowski only get one game off of what he did? The NFL is a joke, man. And like I said, it has nothing to do with me and being a fan. It's a joke because they are reactionary. There's no real policy, but I knew it would happen because they're backed in the corner now, so they got to make an example out of players. But I don't think it was dirty. It was a nice, solid block, caught him off guard. And they're trying to call it a blindside hit, which it wasn't. But whatever. It is what it is. So just my 2 cents on that. But all right, man, we'll kick it off with some NBA information, man. I know Smitty wants to talk about the most recent patch. Myself, I haven't played it, and I don't know if AZ did or not. But what we'll talk about first, man, is NBA Live. They had a recent patch that came out today, I believe, and they added some real big features, something the community has been asking for. Excuse me. Then after that, man, we want to talk about a little bit of the NBA. I know Kia wanted us to talk a little bit about NBA 2K and the league that they have that is looking kind of promising. You know, give our quick thoughts on that. We haven't talked about that in a while. And then looking at some of the community feedback here, I don't know if we'll get to all of them, but shout outs to @DJ the Kid 317-1989. He wants us to talk about with the new turn of events with EA and the microtransactions controversy. How does it affect EA devs and the current upcoming titles, and what does it mean for EA and Madden as a whole? So we'll discuss that. Shout outs to Dez. Dez wants us to talk about, and this is a very good topic. This is the reason why I titled this show leading off with this topic, because I think this is a very good question, because this is going to really challenge some of you people who say you're not going to buy the game and you end up buying it anyway. But Dez wants to know, he says, if in case we haven't covered this already, what do you need to see in Madden 19 that will guarantee your purchase? And again, I think that's a very good question. So what do you need? What is a must have in Madden 19 in order for you to buy it? And then also shout outs to Nathan Alsbrooks. He says he would like us to talk a little bit about the player and badge, type of situation that 2K has with the role system and, being able to have these different badges. So we'll go into a little bit of that. And then last but not least, PX1 Sports, shout outs to him. He wants us to talk about here, he says, people trashing and threatening the devs and the negativity in the community overall, hate versus real feedback, stock plays versus lots of adjustments, and which one is better or both. So I'll read that again when we go into that topic, but as you can see, a lot to talk about in regards to Madden. So we'll kick off the NBA stuff first. So Smitty, if you want to take us away with that, man, give us your thoughts on the patch, what you like or dislike, or, what you love or hate.
I don't have really a whole ton to really talk about on it at this point in time, but I will say this, though. Like I said, I'm glad that they did it. This was a big time requested feature, long overdue. But I am extremely grateful they did it, because, with the gameplay the way it is and everything in the game, at this point, at least, for it being a more of a foundation title, I'm glad they finally put in the roster editing. You know what I mean? Like, it's cool to see all the content that they've put in over like less than a month's time, and you had the loot boxes or whatever, what I'm saying, that you could get with the gear. You had the pink dolphin, the undefeated, and the bait or bathing 8 gear. You had that stuff. They got some other challenges they had earlier this week to get player jerseys and shoes, like Karl Malone jersey. Now they got a swingman challenge out there to get George Gervin's jersey as well. And yeah, but like I said, player editing, like I'm up here messing with it right now as I'm trying to. As y'all see, I got my daughter in my arm here. But what I really like about this is that, hold on. Here, go ahead. All right. No, what I really like about this is that, like I said, you can reassign any player to any team you want. You could do trade, you can assign players, you can create, I think it lets you create 135 players. So if you want to just have, if you just want to, recreate particular teams, make certain moves or something like that, you could go ahead and do it. And it lets you, it lets you go ahead and do just that. So I like that. You know what I mean? I like that they let you do all those things in the game, and you can take that team, put it in the franchise mode. I mean, I know that the novelty of it isn't, huge in the general sense, because it's like, yeah, you could do that with all these other games, but it's big for NBA Live because this was something that has been requested and demanded for so long. And many people were saying, like, the thing they were hung up on as far as the game was not being able to do roster editing. So now to be able to do it, via the update though, but now you're able to do it. That's great. That's great to see. So I'm glad to see that. I'm glad to see them bring that in. And like I said as well, them doing the 3v3, I like that being added in the game too, because that exposes players. You know what I mean? You get to see who, like, you know, it's not as much going on the court. So it's really, you know, if dudes are slipping playing defense or offense or whatever, you're going to see it. The game, you know, your game is going to literally tell on you all by itself. So, hey, I'm loving what it is that they did, man. All these additions are good to see. They're all positive additions, and it's consistent buildup. And see, this is the stuff that I said before about live that I like, is that they keep on building progressively throughout the year. So wherever they start at by the time the game is done, it's going to be a pretty clean game. You're going to have a pretty nice package going into the next title. So I'm glad. Like I'm liking everything that's been done so far. So I'm very proud of it. And there's still more they need to do. Like there's more updates coming. They're gonna have more beard styles and facial hairstyles, I think, from Erica on Twitter. I think she has said that. So I look forward to seeing everything else that they do, man. But otherwise, hey, I'm very proud. You know, and like I said, I'm up here messing with the editing right now, having some fun with it, just creating some stuff. So having fun with it, but I'm glad to see live progressively making those strides, and I want them to keep on going. So, but that's pretty much all I got on it at this point, man. That's all I have. So I'll throw it back to you, Sim or AZ.
Yeah, AZ, I don't know if you had a chance to play anything, you know, since the patches, but what are your thoughts, man, in general on it? Does seem like they continue to progressively work on the game throughout the cycle.
Yeah, and just to piggyback on what Smitty said, that's what you want to see from a team. I mean, you know that they are behind the 8 ball, so to speak, in terms of development and where they are in comparison to 2K and what 2K has franchise-wise and all that kind of stuff. But for it to be for the community, I know people can say, oh, they should have been in the game, to begin with. But for the live community that's been asking for it, for you to actually deliver on something in that same cycle that has been a huge community want, that's just like, I mean, think about it. Let's switch this over to Madden. And what NBA Live basically has done, I'm just going to equate it. I mean, it might not even be equitable, but let's say it's Madden, and Madden added custom draft classes and a weekly update show. That's stuff we've been asking for a long time. No matter how long we've been asking for it, if they did that over adding, a certain set of MUT cards or something, and they said, okay, well, this is for the franchise. This is what we're going to do. That's what NBA Live did, basically, because they basically listened to their fan base and put out something. From time you make those core group of people who play your game and support it happy with roster editing and, for them listening to the community and putting in 3 versus 3. It's just a strong move by the dev team, by EA, basically to say we're going to get behind this product and still add content as it goes along. And if you think about it, it's no microtransactions. It's all earned. So that's why I always applaud NBA Live and the route that they just took with developing that game, because they could have gone the route of doing microtransactions like 2K. And, you see where 2K is now. Community don't really like them for putting out transactions like that. So, I don't know, man. I'm for it. I support them and that development team all the way. And it's just something that you need to see from developers and game companies as the cycle goes along. The more stuff you can add and not take away is a plus, always.
Smitty, real quick, man. Is my little man here is doesn't want to go to the bathroom by himself, so I got to run up here and deal with him. Going to the NBA 2K, the league thing. And then, if I'm not back, which I should be back in a minute, you could throw it to AZ after that. But I think Kia sent us a tweet and said it looks, like it's about to be something. Has your thoughts changed on that? Or, how do you feel again now? It's been a few months now. How do you feel now that the game is out? They've had some patches or what have you. How do you think that league, will look? And then, after that, I'll give my thoughts on NBA Live as well.
I mean, I haven't had the game for a minute, and I'm not really too worried about the tournament and everything, because the thing is, the game is like, the game is messed up. You can't play defense in the game, at all. It's like defense is optional in the game. You can drive to the hole at will, and it's like that all the way in the game, regardless of patches and updates and everything else. So to see them have the tournament, and I mean, don't get me wrong, it's going to be different with the Pro-Am, because I don't know what the rules are for it, because I didn't look at it, so I really don't know. I really don't know all the rules and regulations they have or the criteria for it, but I'm just not really too hard pressed on it. Like, I don't know. We'll see what happens with it. Hopefully it goes well. But like I said before, with NBA 2K18, I understand what they did was, at least what I believe, they set a foundation to build upon for the future in terms of how the game plays. It's like they're trying to truly go away from all of the, two-man animation sequencing, even though it still happens. But the problem is that, 2K, well, he said LeBron says game most realistic. Well, yeah, being a former cover guy and all that, yeah, of course he's gonna say that. Of course he's gonna say it. And I mean, look, 2K has nice looking animations and everything, but it's like people gravitate towards 2K because that's a popular option. It's popular to say, yo, hey, that 2K is where it's at. So that's a popular thing to do at this moment in time. Now like I said, let NBA Live keep getting better and better and better, then it'll be a more balanced tale, of the tape, which is cool. That's what I want it to be like, to be quite honest. But back to the point at hand, tournament. My thing is, I can't get into 2K because the way the gameplay unfolds. I understand what they're trying to do, but it's like the AI is completely screwed up. And I spend time game planning and getting my defensive strategy together, only to see it just straight up implode every time I play the game. Duh, it's terrible. And I mean, people see me stream. I'll stream 2K, and you see all the wild, funky stuff happen there. But then you see me. You say you could play defense. Oh yeah, okay. You can drive to the hole at will, bro. There's no defense in the game. But when you play NBA Live, players actually rotate. They rotate. They try to close out on shots. They do everything from a base fundamental basketball standpoint. They do it better, and they do it better than 2K does by far. And you got all these different settings. Like 2K has more settings in their game, but it doesn't work right. And that's just the bottom line, dude. That's just the bottom line. It needs to be much better. So as far as this tournament is concerned, though, that's going to be all user on user play. So that's what I'm saying. From the tournament standpoint, it could be the saving grace as far as the game possibly looking good in their E-League. But it may be something to take a look at, though. It may be something to look at. Yeah, I know, Kia, right? That's exactly what I'm talking about. But it may be something to look at, you know, to take a look at least and see how it unfolds. Like, I definitely am going to tune in, like however they go about presenting it and showcasing games and everything. I'm definitely going to take a look. I think it'll be fun to see, you know, basketball on that stage. So I just hope that it's replicated well. That's the main thing that I'm looking at. I want to see it replicated well. So just have to stay tuned and wait and see how it goes. So, but I'll throw it to you, AZ or Sim.
Yeah, AZ, what's your thoughts on it real quick, man, before I jump back in there?
Refresh me on because I know Smitty was going about 2K too, but you're talking about the circuit.
Yeah, like as far as it looks like, you know, they're gonna do it. To me, it looks like it's very similar to Madden's championship series, I guess. Like when they represent certain teams, that's what it seems like. It's like a 32-man.
I don't know, man. The truth is gonna come out in the gameplay. Honestly, if you're able to do cheesy stuff, it's gonna show. You know, because people gonna do anything to win the money, just like they do with Madden. And I don't know. We'll see how it unfolds. I'm just hoping for the two games to keep competing because the consumer wins in the end, and I like to have options. And I'm glad, you know, I can have an option of playing 2K or live. Basically, I wish we had that option in football, but that's all it boils down to. Is I want these two games to keep competing and vying for attention in the spotlight because we win when that happens.
All day, man. That's why I don't understand why they like try to get live out the paint or try to get 2K out the paint. I don't understand it. We need them both. But I can speak on both real quick. As far as the live, I haven't played any of the patches, but I think it is great that they are implementing more and more things, continuing to work on the game. I did see somebody say they are behind, so obviously they're going to do that. I mean, to me, all of that stuff to me is irrelevant. I mean, I just look at what's happening. I mean, why would that be a bad thing? You know, it's just like when we was at EA Play and they threw the live party and they had, you know, what was them dudes named Ayo, Teo, and all these cats out there, and they got, you know, all of the 2K why wouldn't you do what you can to, like, I don't see that as a bad thing. I never look at a company fighting to stay alive or fighting to gain people, followers, consumers, buyers, whatever you want to call it. I don't look at that as a negative. Of course, that's what they should do. But the fact that they're doing it is great. I actually look at it from a different standpoint. The fact that, wow, okay, so you could do stuff like that via patch. So that makes me look at Madden, you know, and I'm not trying to compare the dev teams, none of that jazz. They're in the same building, so I know some people are already trying to go there. But I'm just saying, I look at stuff like that and I see the possibility. Oh, so there is some stuff that like that you can do on a patch. So I look at CFM and I'm like, okay, maybe there is some things that y'all could do. But anyway, I think it's great what they're doing, trying to stay alive. And if they can stay alive, no pun intended, that's more for us consumers. In terms of the NBA 2K thing, man, I can't wait to see how it's going to look. I can't wait to see how it's going to look because we all know that 2K is a very pretty game due to their animation library, their, you know, their poetry and motion at times, the fluidity. But we all know why that is. It's because, yes, they do still have predetermined animations. Yes, they do still have two-man sequences. You know, you can't overlook that. I enjoy 2K. I have a good time playing my league, but I agree with Smitty. There's frustrating moments in 2K as well as in Madden. Doesn't mean that I hate the game. It's just I'm a real gamer. And whatever, even if it's a game that's my absolute favorite, like a game like Battlefield. Y'all know I champion them with the pom-poms and everything. I'm a super cheerleader for Battlefield. That's my game. I am extra biased. I don't care. I'll say that for Battlefield. But I still be getting on them about stuff I don't like. So that's just how it is. Regardless of how good a game is or what position they're in, we're still supposed to criticize it. 2K still has issues that overrides the gameplay. So I'm interested in seeing how that's going to play out on a stage like that, because then it's on Front Street. Same way we've seen Madden look crazy in tournaments. I'm interested in seeing how 2K will play out on a stage like that, because, you know, Smitty knows this. I thought FIFA played the best last year in the round of tournaments. Watching that game, even though I don't know soccer that well, the game just seemed to play out very well. You know, so is it going to be on that level, or is it going to mimic some of the stuff that we see in Madden? And I think there's a chance for it to be the latter, only because sometimes things do get a little crazy down in the paint with 2K. And, you know, so I think it's a wonderful thing. You know, they're leading the charge in NBA games, you know, so why not be on the front like that? But we'll see. You know, I hope it does play well. I mean, maybe, you know, again, looking at it from a competition standpoint, if they do excellent, maybe that forces the people at EA to say, wow, man, we got to have our, you know, Madden's got a show like that. So, you know, it's all relative, man, when you talk about competition. But my quick 2 cents on that. So let's get into the meat of what a lot of these guys came here tonight to hear, man. Y'all always love when we talk about Madden. It's amazing to me, man, how when we do this show and we ask for topics, it always seems to be some of the same topics circling around, back and forth. And that's what y'all want to hear, man. So whatever y'all want us to talk about, we'll do it. Let's start off with PX1's topic. No, I'm sorry, Dez's topic, which is the title of tonight's show. Basically, and I'll throw it to you first, Smitty, and I want to hear from you guys in the chat. And oh, you know what? Actually, before I do that, my fault, man. Drizzy Leon wanted to come on. He wanted to call in real quick. So let me bring him in real fast. I'm gonna shoot you your invite now, because I think he might want to comment on both NBA and Madden. So I just shot you the invite, man. So we'll go ahead and roll into the Madden topic, and then we'll get you in after both Smitty and Azure. So, Smitty, in terms of Madden, assuming that you had to purchase it, because we all know we haven't purchased Madden in many years, what's a must feature, or even a few, that would determine whether you buy Madden 19 or not? Like, what would determine your purchase for Madden 19 if you were in a position where you needed to actively go out and spend your money on the game? That could be multiple things, so I know, but for you, just for you and your liking, what would make you either buy Madden 19 or pass on it? You're still muted. There you go.
There we go. All right, no, the big thing for me would be zone play. We got to see, well, better to be even more specific, to see zone play convert to man defense there across the board, not just every so often and here and there, but across the whole board. Convert zone play, convert to man defense when it necessarily needs to do so. When the situation fits, that's when it needs to convert. We need to see that stuff logically play out. Better decision-making logic on when it comes to zone defense reactions based upon where the route is, what the quarterback's doing, and relative to where the receivers are passing through. I have plays, examples where you see guys that'll commit to a receiver and leave another guy wide open. Like, wide receiver will literally come next to them, and they'll leave him wide open to run and chase somebody else over on the opposite side of the field and leave him wide open, and then he gets in for 6. It's like, come on, like, that's the guy you pick up. So it's like that to me would be the huge element there. That's like, you talking about just one thing, or is it multiple things?
It all depends. Whatever things that would make you say these things must be in the game, or I'm not buying it.
Oh, okay. So really okay. So like I said, zone play would be one. Number 2 would be passing, because I need to see that passing. Like, basically, it needs to be APF caliber, or they need to go back to how it was on PS2 when they had like, okay, you could do QB vision style passing without necessarily having the QB vision cone. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you still had independence with the control of your pass. It's just that it had that cone confining it. So if I want to throw it to a spot, I should still be able to throw it to that spot regardless. So, you know, it would be like bringing back, like either bring back QB vision, or like I said, you could do without, but still be able to do better job with just placing the pass easily. You don't have to have, you know, the target passing mechanic. I respect the concept, but you need to be able to situationally throw those passes the way they need to, like how you could do an APF. If I need to throw the ball toward the back of the end zone, I can have the maximum passing on, and they'll throw it to relatively to that corner. So that's the kind of stuff we need to see happen. Like, I need to see that kind of passing happen in Madden. But third, of course, franchise mode. I got to see franchise mode really beef up, like for real. That sucker needs some weight. And lastly, offense and defensive line controls need to be from NCAA. Flat out. We need that analog stick control back in there. Oh, secondly, too, because I've seen traces of it, and this is feedback I've sent to the devs as well. We need to see leverage actually matter. Now that's something that needs to be built in. That's not something that they currently have, but of course, player size. We need to see weight and size and momentum all play a role outside of ratings. So, if I have the leverage, that's one thing. Now ratings and such kick in. But if I create a 150-pound offensive lineman or whatever, I should not be holding anybody down because I don't have the size. It doesn't matter what my ratings are. I don't have the size to do that. And if y'all remember way back when, I did that test with 2K5 where they did that. If you had that undersized O-lineman, you weren't holding up jack. You know what I'm saying? You were getting knocked out of the way just like that because you're too little, regardless of what your skill ratings were. So we need to see weight, momentum, size come full into the picture. Because, Sim, just like you had your play with Bell in the league, you did the video of it. Look, Bell can make some plays, and I know in football you can see some real unique moments happen. But that right there was like, okay, come on. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was a bit too much. So that's why I'm saying, like, we need to see that realism come. You're not making a play like that in Backbreaker, and that game didn't have weight and all that in there. So if you ain't doing it in that game, you definitely shouldn't be doing that in Madden. And that's what I'm saying. We need to see weight, momentum, side, like height, and we need to also see leverage play a factor, because you hear that on Sundays with commentary when D and offensive linemen get stood up or pushed over or whatever. They talk about how they're attacking. They say, if a D line keeps getting held up or pushed back, they talk about how they're not attacking low enough. They keep attacking too high. We need to see that stuff. Like, we need to see leverage and everything play a role, because you know what? FIFA does it. FIFA, you see leverage, you see size, you see weight and momentum, you see the physicality matter over the skill rating. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can have all the skills in the world, but if you ain't got the size to contend with that bigger guy, guess what? You're getting knocked off the ball. Like, that's just it. So, and that's the kind of stuff we've seen in NHL as well. So we need to see that stuff happening in Madden. Like, those are the big, I mean, I know I elaborated a little bit on some of it, kind of went a little bit off the track, but those are my keys that, like, if I was on that perspective, those are the things that I would need to see outside of the whole leveraging bit, because I think that's more of, a wish list kind of deal. I would like to see that, but passing, weight, like physical stature mattering over ratings. I said the passing already. I think I had already said. And then, oh yes, zone play, zone coverage, and logic. We need to see guys switching them zones from zone play direct to man coverage. Heck, you got the commentary saying it. You got, you know what I mean? You got them saying it in the commentary about the zone play and saying how it goes from zone to man eventually. So we need to see that stuff happening in the game, not guys playing to a point and then sitting in a neutral spot covering grass and nothing more. So we definitely need to see that happen going forward. But it needs to be logical. I just don't want to see dudes just covering just because, but we need to see them efficiently covering logically though. So those are my keys.
AZ and Drizzy, we're gonna bring you in right after AZ, and then after that, I'll give my thoughts. But if we weren't in the position that we're in, in terms of acquiring Madden, what things or thing has to be in the game in order for you to purchase it? Like you would either purchase it or not purchase it. What would make or break Madden 19 for you?
CFM. Basically, you got to get the CFM where it's supposed to be. So, I mean, that's probably number one for me. Playing the CFM that we did, we wouldn't be playing Madden at all.
No, not honestly.
Really. I wouldn't be playing ranked. I wouldn't be playing a championship series. So it's CFM, and they got to work on for 19 that they came correct. They actually took some time to comb through the Deuce Douglas stuff. Shout out to him, and maybe they'll bring him down even, if that's the case, and pick his brain and get some of that stuff that we asked for and have been asking for into 19. But CFM. True enough, the zone stuff is huge too, like Smitty said. But CFM, think about the games that we enjoyed that were still missing a lot. But for people to still go back and play 2K5 just because of the halftime show and all that kind of stuff, because it immersed you in it. You know what I mean? And CFM 18 does not do that. 17 didn't do it. So, you haven't really been immersed in CFM or franchise since 5, I think it was, when they still had Tony Bruno show and all this stuff. It got repetitive, but it was there, So if you're not being connected to your league is a problem. You know what I mean? You have those instances where the app just doesn't do enough. It should really work like NFL mobile. Scores, highlights, all that kind of stuff, roster moves. Like it doesn't connect you to, your league. So CFM has to be overhauled and robust for 19 for me.
Yeah, man. Drizzy, man, you can go ahead and come in. I don't know if you wanted to answer that or if you had something else, but what you got for us, man?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'll answer that question. First off, I want to say appreciate what you guys do. Y'all been doing this for was it going on 4 or 5 years? I think the last time I called in was on Blog Talk, and it's back when the Panthers was going to the Super Bowl.
Oh,
and I'm a Carolina fan, so yeah, we got that team right now where the record doesn't speak for the actual play on the field, So I think that's what you were saying about your Steelers, that you got a great record, but it's real wishy-washy. You can tell that certain, you don't not as confident. But far as the question about Madden 19 and what I have to what needs to be in the game, I would say that the plays like what you show with the Le'Veon Bell when they got a gang tackle, but yet he's dragging 4 defenders and still scoring. Because I think there's momentum in the game, but it's not the weight and momentum that we're asking for. It's the momentum of who's winning or losing, or big play momentum. I want to say when, like, I don't feel like there's any like cheats in there when you're down by a lot. I do think you do get opportunities. I mean, it's a coin flip, just like getting an onside kick. It's a coin flip whether you're going to recover the ball when you fumble, because it should be first man, first come, first serve, in my opinion. Um, I'm probably gonna still buy Madden 19 because I'm like addicted to the game. Like all of us. I mean, it's a cool topic, but like
It's
I
all good.
feel I'm gonna give them a chance because the first year of Frostbite. I really feel like 17, Madden 17, we could see the progression from 15 and 16, and when 17 out the box, we was like it was everybody was mind was blown. So as soon as we got used to 17, they come in with the Frostbite on the first, I guess you say, literation. Now it's a lot of things on there I had to get used to, but it's not bad. I still play it. We play Madden and complain about it, but at the end of the day, it's still fun. That's why these topics keep coming up, because it's a fun game. It's supposed to be fun. It's some frustrating things, but I think we all kind of complain less when we winning, but we can really definitely tell when we're losing on certain plays. Like, okay, this was out of whack, when it didn't go into our favor. But that kind of covers that question, in my opinion, about like just the wonky plays where um certain animations. I mean, it's going to be animations in the game, but I just feel like certain animations where he's breaking 4 or 5 tackles, or the DB. I mean, it's that there's a money play now when it's like a corner route, when they're gonna run, they're gonna send the wide receiver down the middle, and that's money. And I remember AZ was saying that the linebackers are running, covering 20, 30 yards, but that's the only way you can stop that play, because your safeties aren't going to pick up on it. They're not going to have any awareness. You have to use the linebacker and literally scramble around the middle of the field and lurk. That's the only way you can stop that play. And then that user is going to respect you. Because I would play a lot of CFM, but I feel like with my job, I don't want to start a CFM and not play, and then people just skipping games. So I'm mostly online head to head, but I look at myself as a sim player because I want to play the game the right way. I'm not looking online for like money plays and stuff like that. But I can tell certain players when we play, even when we lose or win, they'll be like good game just based on the user play. So I guess you like with certain plays, you do have to use them linebackers and lurk and you know do some cheesy stuff, I guess, to try to keep it just to stay in the game, because I run mostly with Carolina, and that's kind of my piece on that one right there. I don't know if y'all want to like go in off of that or in my comment.
Yeah, man, we'll
But
definitely discuss that. Did you have anything else before you go, brother?
with the NBA Live, I got live. I pre-ordered that game, and I would say, yeah, they've done a lot since day one, implementing a lot of different things. I still wish, kind of like what you guys say about the fluidity and things. I wish things were smoothed out, but I put in the comment section. I feel like they in a position where they have to listen to the crowd. They're not in a position for microtransactions and to be able to demand, they have a good game, they have a great game, but it might be a year or two before they can get the crowd to back it like Madden. They know people are going to buy Madden regardless, because even though there's people complaining, they're still going to buy it. Live is still, it's like on a thread, in my opinion. I'm going to support the game because this is my first year not buying 2K. I told myself I wasn't going to buy it. I downloaded the Prelude, didn't really enjoy it as much. And once all the backlash came back, I was like, you know, good, because one thing I hate that I do that I can enjoy with Madden is this: I play team ball, team sports. The NBA games with my career and the one is kind of taking over those games. So a lot of people I don't even believe can play 5-on-5 basketball because they're more worried about playing their created player. I got the one, and I play in the street sometime, but I'd like to focus more on the 5v5 team ball and stuff like that. But I would say kudos to them, with them updates and patches and stuff like that. And yeah, that's my piece right there. I'll let you guys go.
All right, man. Well, we definitely appreciate you chiming in and calling in. We always appreciate that, man. Hearing from you guys. Again, I always extend the invitation, man. You guys can provide us the topics every week. You guys can also be an official panelist on the, you know, for the week. Y'all just have to keep letting us know, man. We'd be happy to do that. Of course, you know, with us having AZ back, you know, we'll probably still limit that to just 2 additional people if we were to do that. But yeah, man, we thank you for giving us your thoughts there. My quick thoughts, man, on Madden 19. I mean, Smitty and Azure covered a whole bunch of it. CFM, I'm not even going to say anything because nothing was done in 18, period. So any changes to CFM is a must for me. It's so many things that I want. I mean, I wouldn't even know where to begin. So I will let them off the hook by saying there would have to be changes in Madden 19 in CFM in order for me to feel comfortable with purchasing the game. Outside of CFM, it starts, man. The shout outs to London Baker because he reads my mind. He knows this is one of my biggest pet peeves. Player movement, man. Because player movement covers so many things, y'all. It's not just how authentic they look. Obviously, of course, we want them to look and move and feel as close to real life, but player movement changes so much. Like how people, you know, we used to complain about how guys are able to alert, you know, so far across the field and cover so much ground and take all these different 2 and 3 routes away. Can't do that with realistic player movement. Can't do that. When steps are accounted for, you wouldn't be able to do that. Player movement to me also would make your relative positioning matter. That means if the ball is here and the defender is here, my man's gonna catch that. If I put the ball in the right spot, it's not gonna be a warp. Because I feel like warping sometimes, it could be twofold. I haven't really had this actual conversation, believe it or not, and I plan on doing that this year. I believe warps happen because it's lack of transitional animation, and also it allows the animation to trigger at a certain point. Like, you know, I know I'm not using the right terminology, but I'll try to keep it as simple as possible. You know, there's different dials and like there's different tick points in an animation. And when the animation triggers, there's probably at this tick point, it says, oh, okay, you can match an animation. And then the defender or the offensive player matches the animation and then it tries to get there, but there's no transitional animation. So it warps them. That's part of it. Another part of it is the dice roll. It decides, okay, this guy's going to win because, you know, X amount of percentage times Y times minus blah, 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 you know, math figures equals this. He's going to win this time. So get him over there. So it's kind of twofold. But I still feel like if you address the player movement, you can eliminate some of that. Because when a guy's out of position, he's out of position. That has to be addressed. Weight and momentum, like Smitty said. Has to. I'm tired of playing the same game, man, with the same problems. And I promise you guys, if I wasn't in the position where obviously, you know, at Game Changers, we work with EA. Obviously, you guys know we get Madden from EA. I wouldn't buy it because this is what I would always tell you guys, what I tell y'all every year. I would red box it. See if I like it first. And then, okay, it's enough stuff. Okay, then I would buy it. But I would not buy that game out the gate. And here's another one. The technique stuff, like Smitty said, leveraging and all of that. But I need to see, even if you can't get the defensive technique down in one go, because I know Kia's in here. Kia would understand that all the stuff that we are asking for is a lot of work. A-Dub definitely wants to do it. But even if you can't get that stuff done, can we at least get situational awareness? To where if my guy doesn't have I saw it in the Steelers Bengals game, man, just on Monday. There was a play where Bud Dupree was out playing. He was in the flat. And the reason why is because there was nobody in his area. So he changed what he was supposed to do on that particular play. It was a man-to-man. It was actually a cover one. And there was nobody lined up on his side. And all of a sudden, you saw him just drift and get as much depth as possible because he had nobody to cover. There was nobody in his area. There was nobody for him to man up on. he adjusted based on the situation. That's situational awareness. That's what Smitty was talking about. You know, if it's man to man on the outside and it's a cover 2, that corner should know, oh, ain't nobody else over here. Oh, I'm gonna go with him. I'm staying with him, especially if he's vertical. Stay with him, or get as much depth as you can to help the safety. I mean, these are very simple, basic coverage rules that you even learned in high school. You know what I mean? Little stuff like that. We wouldn't get the flat feet, and the guys just standing there like this in Madden. They watch the ball being thrown, then they react. You wouldn't get that. Or the play I showed you guys with the Mike Mitchell example, and it's crazy, that video. And look at little man right there getting love in the video. It's crazy how, and that video is up to 23,000 views now. Crazy. Like I didn't expect that to happen, but obviously people agree. That's situation I showed where Mike Mitchell is the only deep safety. There's one receiver coming his way, and he just continues to back up and allows him to cross his face. Then all of a sudden he wants to react. That stuff doesn't happen. I mean, again, does NFL players make mistakes? Of course they do. But every safety in the league is competent enough to know if there's only one guy there, that's your man, period. There's nobody else you got to worry about. So that kind of stuff, man, situational awareness on the goal line to know, like, adjust the depth of your zone. Like, don't just do what I told you to do. Like, just don't, I'm calling cover 3. Oh, and he's only going to go to his spot and stand there. No, recognize the situation. That's what they told us this game would be. They told us this 4 or 5 years ago. We ain't seen that. So, again, player movement, situational awareness, weight and momentum being a factor, and changes, period, to CFM. That's it. It has to be changes. I mean, and speaking of Deuce Douglas, man, y'all know it's our responsibility as well to do this. This is not a shot at him or anything like that, but I just got to share some information with you guys. If any of you guys have been talking to him, please tell him to get in touch with Rex. I know for a fact that Rex has reached out to him, hasn't heard anything back. At least the last time I talked to him, this was a while back. So I don't know. Maybe they've talked since then. I even reached out to Deuce Douglas via DM on Twitter. I haven't heard anything back. It's been over a month. Hope he's okay. You know, I mean, let's be real. I haven't seen him on Twitter. So first, let's say that. But if any of you guys have been talking to him on OS or whatever, Rex has reached out to him. I actually even seen Rex tweet something like that to some effect a month or so ago. But I've been hearing that he's tried to reach out to him and hadn't heard back. So that's our responsibility to mention that, because listen, man, if we're gonna be community people as far as ideas and things like that, when they reach out, you got to get back at them. Just like, you know, I know there's a couple people in the community that's been reached out to come down to EA for community events and haven't gone. Now, you know, I don't know everybody's life. You know, I can't say you should go, you know, but I'm just saying, take advantage of these opportunities if you get them, because all of the hard work that you're putting in is being paid off by you being invited to stuff or people trying to get in contact with you. And then if you don't get in contact with them, they looking at it like, oh, well, you know, I tried to holler at them, I didn't hear back. So don't shoot yourself in the foot. I mean, and don't shoot the community in the foot, because obviously not only did Rex and them say how much they really liked that man's post, they tried to reach out to him, which could mean a number of things. So y'all do that favor. If y'all seen him, you talk to him, let him know, look, man, Rex has been trying to contact you. It would be wise for you to get back at him. So I just wanted to say that real quick. But yeah, those are my things, man. You know, let's face it, the game is not going to be perfect, but you always hear us say, if they fix those things, we're talking about a whole different game, and it would change so much more on the field if you made these things matter. You know, so that would be me, because I feel like I'm playing pretty much the same game as 17. And if none of that stuff was addressed, I wouldn't. I would just play 17. I mean, I play 18 or whatever. I wouldn't go to the next one. But I will give him. And I wanted to say this when Drizzy was on, so let me give him his credit. He's right about the frostbite thing. That's the thing that would make me a little intrigued if I was just the average consumer, figuring, okay, the second year on frostbite, maybe there's a difference. So the marketing might get me, it might make me buy it. But, you know, I'm a rent first type of guy. So once I red boxed it and realized it was the same, then I wouldn't buy it. So that's just me. But anyway, let's move on to the next thing. Smitty, let's see where we gonna start here. Let's talk about the microtransactions, man, and then we can also kind of combine this a little bit with PX1's topic. You know, as far as the community as a whole, how so much trashing and threatening the community, the devs, and is that stuff valuable at all? But then also. Shout outs to at DJ the Kid 317-1989. His topic. Let's go into this one as well. With all of the recent drama with the microtransactions, especially with Battlefront, what effects do you think this has on EA as a whole and or the devs, and particularly Madden with things like MUT? Do you see that affecting anything?
You want me to talk on the transaction part first, or
any of that? Because it's all Madden, so we could, whatever you want to hit on. We're gonna try to hit them all anyway before 10 o'clock.
All right. I mean the transactional thing about. I mean, it could potentially have an effect. It could do some damage. What I would advise is. From EA's perspective, I would get ahead of the curve. You know what I'm saying? And basically, if you got people that are upset with what's going on right now, which you clearly do, from what happened with Star Wars Battlefront and how they're looking at regulating the whole loot box, situation. Now, mind you, this has nothing to do with gameplay. This has got everything to do with the whole, looking at it as gambling aspect of things. And this is look, it goes to a simple point that Sim and I have said many times over, and especially I've said it 10 billion times. If you don't like something that's going on in the game, if you don't like a game, whatever the reason it is, don't buy it. You can play MUT for free, but you go ahead and you buy the packs anyway. If you're spending the money on the packs, there's nothing to fuss and fight about. You still out here buying packs. Just like what Key is saying now. You got people that get upset. Oh, I hate these microtransactions. Man, I'm gonna do a 90-pack bundle opening. Okay, so how did you get those packs? You bought them, dude. So it's like I can't feel your pain when I can't rock with you when you're saying all that. Look, this is my thing here, okay? And when I was on, I went, for those that may have watched or whatever, I went on to Havo and Gettin's podcast or whatever the other week. There isn't anything those guys are saying that we haven't already heard before. It's secular talk. No. This is my point. This is my point. No, this is the point I'm getting at, though. My main point is this. From guys that, and what I'm saying is people that have that detractible feeling, like you got this angst and you're just so mad and all that. All right, come June and especially in August, how many of you guys are not going to buy it? Because one thing that's funny is that just like what we say on this show, Gettin said the same thing. He'll sit around on Twitter with dudes that talk smack all year about Madden and then they buy it anyways. It's the same thing like what Kia just said. You got people that sit around on Twitter, getting on Periscope, getting on Twitch, doing all this stuff. You had a guy named Yo Mama sitting up here talking about how, this is our ban day. We're banning against it. Listen, I respect the effort, but in the grand scheme of things, these people are bought in. Remember, People attacking Andrew Wilson, and they want to dig in on him, right? Remember, the concept was free. He introduced it in FIFA because I watched a video on it. The concept was free. It was, you had to earn all the in-game currency to get packs and all that. There was no credit card information you could get. There was no PayPal. But he said, well, let's see if we put a page structure behind it. Let's see what happens. The people bought it. Because if you remember, I'm pretty sure Sim and AZ remember this too. Remember this. Remember, and I think it was in NCAA or Madden 11, 10 or 11. It may have been in both games. But remember when they charged, pay this extra money and you can scout, even, you could get a more in-depth scouting report on players for NCAA. And it was another thing they had in Madden for some kind of boost or something like that. What happened? Why did that go away? Because no one bought it. No one, they looked at that and said, okay, this ain't going to work. Let's take that out. But Ultimate Team, they cast the reel out there. People bought that. Oh, we got the big one. People bought into it. They bought into the Ultimate Team side of it, but they didn't buy into the, man, in franchise mode, man, I'm not about to pay for that. You see what I'm saying? So it happened in EA's own product. And the thing with Star Wars Battlefront, it's a simple action, dude. I say it in stream. We said it here all the time. If you don't like something, you don't purchase it. What did those Star Wars Battlefront people? They rallied because they were like, man, excuse me, I'm not buying this game. I'm not doing it. Their numbers are down. It's because people aren't buying the game because of what EA did. Because of the decision they made, which was a very bad decision. That was a horrible decision. You were straight until you did that. Like you were in the pocket until you made those moves. That was a catastrophic error. And you'll get the thing is, I feel that you'll get the bread anyways. If you just make the game good, people will buy. They'll buy the loot crates and the boxes and all that stuff. They'll still do it. But you got to make it complimentary, don't force somebody's hand. Don't force the consumer hand and be like, okay, you're going to make me buy this in order to get that. Like, you can't do that kind of stuff. You can't do that. Not with that kind of game, especially when people already played the first title and were able to do that. They were able to play as Luke and Han Solo and Darth and all that stuff. You can't just take that away and say you got to grind extra hard to get it. You can't do that stuff. So that I seriously hope, though, this is the thing that I believe could stem from it, that can help Ultimate Team be more balanced. Give people that opportunity, whether they free grinding or if they paying. Set that tournament, not the day the game comes out on early access, but set it more further down the line and give people time to actually play and build stature and qualify for it. Don't force people's hands, because that's going to be your downfall. It may work, but it's only going to work for so long. And at some point, people will turn on it. It may not happen quick, but it will happen progressively. So that's what I'm saying. Now this, the bell rung off of what happened with Battlefront. Don't let the same thing mess around and happen with Madden and FIFA and all that stuff. I know people are still buying packs. Okay, they're still going ahead and they're still buying packs. But the bottom line, though, is that the structure is going to have to change going forward. Like, there's going to have to be some kind of update to it where it's going to be a lot more fair and balanced across the board in that regard, at least. So I know there's other aspects we want to touch on, but I'll at least touch on that right now. I'll throw it to you guys.
AZ, man, what you got on that, man?
I'll be brief because
you come in right after AZ.
The crew is here, but like Smitty said, it could backfire on them. Because once people get fed up and they speak with money, then change real bottom line. And when you start talking to shareholders, and they're not happy with the bottom line, then that's when stuff changes, like we saw. So, like Smitty said, get them if people turn on you and they speak with their money, then change starts to come on down the line. So, hopefully, I'm against microtransactions. I'd rather you earn it NBA Live style, but that's the way of video games right now is microtransactions, getting that money. GameStop, you remember the GameStop deal? From this. So trying to get their money back, man. It's all about, at the end of the day, the dollar.
Kia, what are your thoughts, man?
What's going on, gentlemen? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes,
Well, you guys already talked. Hold on a second. All right. Yeah. As far as the MUT thing and the microtransactions, I agree with Smitty's take. This year has been particularly bad because the content has been so poor that it's forced people into doing one of two things. Just to even play a free mode like Weekend League, you have to either spend an inordinate amount of money to field a team that is competitive. And by competitive, I mean over 90. It's amazing. You can put an 88 to an 89 overall team out there, and you'll get your head kicked in, or you have to grind every single game out like it's a freaking war. It's insane. You either have to do that, or you have to spend just an ungodly amount of time, burning through those solos. It's just two extremes. One requires an insane amount of time that no one has the time to spend if they have any life whatsoever. And the other one involves dropping a ton of money where, it's one thing if a guy like, Zan, Gut Fox, dudes like that who have sponsored Twitch channels and sponsored YouTube channels, and they're getting revenue per view and all that good stuff, or the top of the Madden food chain, like Skimbo can drop 10 grand on Ultimate Team because he made $250K playing this game, but you have, broke as a joke college kids doing this, lots of them. And it's just a bad state. It really is. I don't know what it would take as far as backlash is concerned for it to change. I don't see a Star Wars Battlefront situation happening. Because let's be frank, the football gaming community ain't about shit. let's be honest. They don't take a stand against anything. It's just all hot air. All hot air. Yeah. So it ain't ever going to change on that front. As far as the game and Madden 19, as far as things that I need to see, first and foremost, I don't want to see these overpowered compressed sets anymore. I am tired of gun bunch. I am tired of split coasts. I'm tired of single back tight and the havoc they wreak. Now, that's part and parcel with zone coverage. We're dealing with, if you're not dealing with match coverage got worse, by the way, from last year. Match coverage worked halfway decent last year. This year, any trips, tight or compressed formation blows match coverage apart. If I come out and cover 3 match and I see trips and the halfbacks is on the weak side, I have to check out of it, because the only way I'm going to cover the number 2 guy verticals with the vertical hook zone is using it myself. But if my opponent runs HB screen, I'm screwed. So immediately I have to throw a key part of what I want to call on third down out of the playbook, practically.
Yep.
Now, I get that, okay, when you're dealing with a bunch of compressed sets, I get that, okay, maybe you may not have the dev time to put in, a box call at a cover 4, which is basically what would happen is that your curl flat defender and your hook defender, They basically play man coverage from the first guy out and the first guy in, and it basically turns into match. And cover 3, they call that palms coverage. Either the hook or the safety takes the first guy breaking out, and the other hook takes the first guy breaking in, and those two guys are manned up. Everyone else is playing zone. If you don't have the wherewithal to program those rules into the game, at least end this just drifting zone nonsense. So that if I have a corner in cover 3 or cover 4 playing outside third or outside quarter, and someone from a compressed set runs a corner route right into him, he's got to make that play. Period. We can't have these spot drop rules from 1980 anymore. The biggest disappointment with this game for me is that there's been literally no change to how people approach the game. Come out and gun bunch, come out and split close, single tight, send all your guys out. And you have a year and a day to have those route combos break apart the coverage because the rush isn't getting there, and away you go. That's got to end. So that's number one. Number two, part and parcel with that is the pass rush. We knew it was going to happen, that once people got a taste of aggressive pass rush, that was going to get nerfed. And sure enough, it did. So now you can't even use that anymore because your guys are going to go off sides every single time, or most of the time, while your opponent has no risk of a false start penalty. So now you're back to playing unbalanced, and you're back to seeing J.J. Watt playing pitter-pat. That's got to stop. Got to unleash the pass rush and keep it unleashed. Those are the first two things right off the bat that need to be, addressed, and they need to stick to it. They got to stop caving into these guys and giving us 3 or 4 versions of the game, each of which are progressively more frustrating. So as far as Madden 19 is concerned, tired of the compressed and bunch sets. And if you want to say, okay, Frostbite kind of wreaked some havoc and didn't allow us to dedicate resources to tightening up what we did last year as far as the match coverages are concerned, okay, fine. Can't happen again next year. It just can't. People are not going to sit and watch these guys play the same way year after year after year after year after year. Especially when you're dealing with an esport and you're dealing with the exposure that's bringing. You have the 2K League coming up, and there'll be growing pains with that, no doubt. But we're now going to be entering year 3 of Madden trying to grow its exposure as an esport. And, that kind of stuff is just going to eventually lead to diminishing returns. I mean, I've already noticed that this year there's not quite the same amount of buzz as far as watching those tournaments as there were last year. It's because guys are tired of seeing the same thing. The game has to take strides into becoming more diverse as far as play styles and what you can execute. And that comes with tightening up technique, tightening up AI, and just removing all of these sloppy bugs that we see with how players leverage themselves in and out of position. That's the main thing. If you tighten up those 3 things, the game will be miles better. The game actually plays, the game plays significantly better when those things are taken out of the game, compressed sets and all that good stuff. But, people like their crutches. They're going to do what's easy. I try to stay away from those things as much as I can. I don't like using them in our league. I think I've called gun bunch maybe twice all season. I just don't want to resort to that kind of stuff. But, not everyone is a nutcase like me, and they just want to do what they have to do to move the ball. And, okay, fine. You can do that, but we need the corresponding tools to counter it. And right now, we don't. Defense is still playing with a knife, and the offense is playing with a shotgun. And it throws the game out of balance in a whole variety of ways.
Yeah, man, because really, like what Kia just said, I mean, the league, it keeps us involved. It's camaraderie. It's fun. I mean, I'm having a terrible season, but I don't feel well. Let's be honest.
I have 2 ties.
Yeah. There's a couple guys. Let's be honest. There's a couple guys who try to bend rules every now and then, which still gets on my nerves. But for the most part, we have an enjoyable experience. But like Kia said, the problem with the game too, and this is just a very simple thing, is like the pass rush. I mean, if you watch this game that's on TV right now, Drew Brees is just still crazy with it, how he goes through his progressions. But he has time, right? In Madden, that time is like 9 seconds. And everybody knows that, oh, let's just sit here and wait. Okay, run this route out of gun bunch or whatever, get the right combination. You know the safety's not going to play it, and they air it out. It's like there's no threat.
Oh, I think I know why the game is like that as far as the pass rush and having so much time to throw. These receivers just lollygag through their routes. If you had the realistic average amount of time to throw, combined with how slow, take a look and pay attention to how lackadaisical your receivers are running the routes. Mm-hmm. If you had the 2.5 to 3.5 seconds to throw, you'd be getting sacked before your receiver is 3 or 4 yards downfield. I don't know why they did this, but the receiver releases are horrible.
Yeah.
It completely negates your ability to spread out the defense.
That's it. The wideout DB interactive play that was done back in Madden 16 still hasn't came back yet. That's the way they had it out the gate when the game first launched. It was good. People complained, and then it's never been the same since that point in time. And like what you said, Kia, that's another thing too. These wide receivers run their routes way too slow. Way too slow. Like, yeah, got a dude in the league got like 18, 20 some odd dang on sacks with one guy. Like, he got those sacks because he could blow up and get into the backfield before anybody's route progresses, period.
And when you combine that with a lot of the concepts that aren't spaced correctly as far as route depth and receiver splits, the splits are better, but there's still some plays where you have receivers rubbing into each other far too often. When you combine that, it eliminates a lot of what you can do, what can work, and how you can function. So the game just snowballs into this predictable pattern of drags, corners, and slot streaks.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I mean, most people who, I've played against in the league, I'm not going to call the actual play, but there's a play that I've been able to get off from time to time, play action deep to Martavis Bryant. It's because it amazes me sometimes how much time I have time to sit there and wait until I see separation, then let the ball go. And I'm like, come on, it's too either or in this game. You don't feel any threat of, dang, is he going to jam up my receiver? Or is the timing going to be off? Or am I holding the ball too long? And here comes, J.J. Watt or Khalil Mack or any of these elite guys. Now, I will say sometimes they have increased the block shed a bit, but the way they do it is not even believable. It's like your offensive line just goes dumb. Or it's that one move, that quick little, no fight in the trenches, man. No real fighting. Like that, the trenches, that's another thing for 19. I need a mini game in the trenches. I need to be able to control if I want to, okay, I'm beating this guy with the swim every time. Now, I know this is a little detail for some people, but Kia and Smitty and Azure clearly know what I'm saying. Imagine a game where the matchup is dictating so much to what. Okay, again, let's go to the Cowboy game. Who was that? The Falcons played the Cowboys, and they was using this. Tyron Smith is not in the game, and Claiborne gets 6 sacks or 7 sacks, whatever he had. I want to be able to pull that off if that matchup is telling me this. This guy is susceptible to the rip or inside shiver or whatever. Can we get a game like that? Because there's other games like a FIFA that you can literally use this guy's skill, what he's able to do against another guy. So this stuff that we're asking for is not impossible because there's other video games, whether it's football or not, that are able to accomplish these things, man.
And if you don't get the mini game, at least get, like Smitty said, and like I've been saying, the NCAA pass rush controls back on the analog, at least.
Yes.
So
Gotta have it, man. It's so frustrating, man. And
it's the weirdest thing because everyone else on the defense is flying. Your linebackers can cover ground backwards just as fast as they're moving forward, and your defensive backs can strafe laterally just as fast as they can sprint. Everyone on the field is flying except your wide receivers.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy.
I'm surprised not many more people talk about that because it's so obvious to see. It's really strange looking. You have 18 players on the field moving really fast, and you have 3 just jogging. It's ridiculous.
It's pretty crazy, man. But Kia, while we have you on the line, I'll come to you first, and then Smitty and AZ, y'all follow up. Taking a piece of PX1's comment. His topic, he gave us a couple all in one, but I wanted to grab this piece. This is always an interesting topic with competitive guys versus sim guys. He says basically stock plays versus a lot of adjustments. I think what he's trying to ask is, how do you feel about, guys running stock plays and, having a little amount of adjustments, or do you prefer the large amount of adjustments like you see these guys do, to create these route combinations? Like, do you sway one way or the other as far as, your preference?
This is a tough one, and I'll tell you why. I understand why the tournament gamers are doing what they're doing. On one hand, well, let me put it like this. What they're dialing up is more realistic than they're given credit for. The route combinations that they do dial up, some of them are, circus-like, but some of them actually do make sense. But I understand why they're doing it, because there are so many concepts in the game still that don't work properly. Some playbook, for example. And the reason why I'm doing it is because I'm sick of going through a stock playbook, like, say, the Jets, the Steelers, the Texans, whatever, and going, okay, I know that play is broken. This play doesn't work right. This play doesn't work right. And next thing I know, I spent 20 seconds of the play clock trying to find a play that I know I can execute.
Right.
So what I did was I created a playbook. I'm creating a couple of playbooks where I just rip all the broken stuff out and stick with some core simple stuff that I know can be run halfway authentically. Now, the unfortunate thing about that is that it leads to a very tiny playbook. So the tournament guy, they're not going to take the time to sift through, what's broke and run it when they're playing for money for, our satisfaction. They're going to say, okay, I know this formation is a formation in the game that works, like gun bunch, for example. It doesn't have all the plays that I would want, but if I hot route these 3 guys, I can create something resembling what I would want to run out of a spread set, for example. So that's where that thought process comes in. Now, the problem is the defense, they don't have the ability to match up with what they're hot routing to. From a stock perspective, you can blow those stock coverages apart pretty easily because you'll screw up the mid-read logic, which is broken. You'll screw up the quarter flat, which is broken. You'll screw up the seam flat, which is broken. The only zone that has a chance of dealing with those adjustments are the vertical hooks, but you only have maybe 1 or 2 of those on the field. And so that means every other coverage on the field is going to get blown to smithereens. And to compound that, those route combos have a time to develop because of, again, 4-man rush. So while I understand why they do it, it ultimately leads to causing more harm than good because it makes the game look terrible. No one wants to see that. I'm seeing guys convert, 3rd and 30, 4th and 30 like it's nothing because they know if they dial up this hot route combination, the opponent has no chance of covering it unless he happens to be lucky enough to guess right with his user. And that's what those games come down to. So it just makes the game look awful in that regard. But like I said, I understand the reason for it, and I also understand the frustration with it. And it just boils down to the same thing. The game has to get fundamentally better on a core level.
What you think, Smitty, man? What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I mean, I don't know, like, because like Kia covered a lot of the ground there. Like he covered a lot of the ground with what he had to say. I'm definitely in agreement with it, but my thing is like as far as what PX is talking about, like, well, the point we're getting on is the tournament play differences. Is that what we're talking about? That part of what he said?
No, well, he wrote a lot of different things. He kind of combined like 4 or 5 different comments, but he says, he said stock plays versus a lot of adjustments.
Oh, yeah.
And what I get from that is he's just basically saying, I guess I'm taking it a step deeper. Like, do you agree? Do you feel like people should run more stock plays versus 10,000 adjustments at the line?
I think it needs to be a mix. Like it needs to be where you can make the adjustments, but it's not like a hard commitment to that adjustment. And what I mean by that is this. Like if I say I want my corner to play the hard flat and he's playing a different zone or whatever, soft squat, whatever, and I want him to play hard flat. Just because I have him play the hard flat, if there isn't he'll go to that flat, but if there's no receiver there, I want to see him logically retreat and try and cover or be underneath cushion to the next level, like underneath the receiver to the next level defender.
Right.
Like, I want to see him still move. I don't want to see him just stay there like, oh, well, you said play hard flat. And because of that, he's just going to stay there now. Like, no. They still need to move. Now, what may happen because of that is, let's say that, like I said, once again, let's say he was playing cloud flat or soft squat. Okay, he was playing that. Now, if he's playing soft squat, soft flat, or whatever, he's going to the gap between that receiver and safety will be closer. Okay, because he's playing him based off the zone, and then he goes ahead and flips it. Now the difference here is that when I play hard flat, okay, the gap is going to be a bit wider, but he still is going to try and close that gap as much as he can. So that means if I throw the pass and that safety's not able to crash down on it, he's just going to play as best as he can. But at least that cornerback is there to make the play, i.e., how it is in 2K5. Now, 2K5 doesn't have hard flat. They just play flats. They just play the zones, and that's it. There's no assignment or technicality to it. But that's the kind of stuff that I need to see, because if there's nobody there, it's like, why are you just standing around? You should be crashing down on the play. And see, that's where making the adjustments, that's why I kind of say it's kind of in the middle, because you can call plays and you can leave the play at default, maybe make a minor adjustment, play underneath, play over top, whatever. But there still should be the principle of, okay, I'm going to logically play based upon what the offense is doing, regardless of what adjustment I made or regardless of what the play call was I made defensively. They're still going to do their best job to make that play. You see what I'm saying? So that's why it's
What happened? Oh, Smitty froze, it looked like. AZ, what you got on it, man?
I'm more of a stock. I want people to use the stock plays, but like Kia covered a whole lot. and it's a lot of broken plays. So, when you go and whittle it down and there's only a handful of plays you can use that are not broken, it just goes back to like why you have 500 plays in a playbook if only a few work. So
right.
And what are you going to do? Run a broken play just to be quote unquote mixing it up? No, that's crazy.
And see, and then like he said, what you have at the end of the day is people just running slants across, and I'm guilty of it too because you've seen pretty much everything. You know what plays based on formations and personnel that people are going to run, especially if you play them in CFM and you play them, multiple times. Like I'm pretty sure Kia can see a look for me and say, okay, I know what's coming, and vice versa. Especially like for you and the Ravens, Sim, you'll see something and be like, oh, okay, I know what play he's about to run right here, just because based on his personnel, his formation. I mean, that happens. That's football, but you don't have broken plays like you do, or the plays that are broken because somebody missed an assignment, not because the engineering of the play is not right. So
now I will say this though, if I do have a stock defense, I'll use Smitty's example. Like the technique that he's talking about is in the game. It's called a cloud flat zone. They play in between. They if you're playing a cover 2, the corner will jam the outside receiver, sink back at a 45-degree angle to about 8 to 12 yards to shrink the corner or the sideline, and kind of give his safety a buffer like he's supposed to do, and then rally to the throw underneath. Now, if I say, okay, I'm going to change you to sell out to the hard flat, I think there needs to be a price to pay for doing that and being wrong. I don't like best of both world situations. If I'm coming out on a play that has a particular technique, and I go ahead and change it and end up changing it to actually, compromise the coverage and leave a gaping hole, that's my fault. I don't feel like I should be, quote unquote, rewarded for changing the call up and being incorrect when the default technique would have done what I wanted to do.
Right. Yeah. And I thought that was how it was going to be when we talked about, people misaligning their defenses and calling the wrong plays with the wrong personnel. But it always goes back to the fact of when it comes out in August, that's how it is. And then when they make all these changes and adjustments, then it becomes far from that, or it just reverts back to playing like last year's version. Like, to me, 18 plays more like 17 now than it did when it first came out. So, but like I said, you get to a point where, true enough, you do see a lot of the same things, a lot of the same strategies from players, but it's
now,
just because we played so long too.
With PS1's point, I would love to be able to run the majority of the plays stock, but there's just not a whole heck of a lot of them. Like, for example, you cannot replicate the Patriots' pass offense in this game. It's impossible. The Patriots' pass offense is basically all stick, option route conversions, and shallow crosses with an occasional seam pass here and there to Gronk. But if you try to run stick, it's just a recipe to get your receivers detonated by linebackers, because depending on what formation you run stick out of, they either run it too elongated, run it right into the backer, or they run it too short, and a user is able to just crash down on it, and because it's not spaced well with the out next to it. So it's just, there's just a whole heck of a lot of work being done, or needs to be done, to get all these play concepts correct. And I don't know what the issue is. Clint swears that the field is scaled correctly. CAA, I have loads of space. You can spread that field out sideline to sideline nice, but in Madden, it just feels like a bottleneck out there.
Yeah,
because you have linebackers who can cover ground so quickly. I mean, it shrinks it even more. You try to throw some outside routes from the other hash, and you would ideally be able to fit it in there. But if you had a strong arm quarterback, but because the animations go so fast at times, you can't really do it. Like it's only a certain amount of throws you can do. Just like I talked about last week, how we threw it over the second level, but the pass goes at the linebacker's chest instead of over his head. It's not enough air under the pass to get it over him, you know, where you would want to fit it. So I don't know.
Yeah, man, it's a crazy situation because this is where I think that EA had the opportunity. This is where I would like to see them expand the simulation, competitive, et cetera, et cetera. Because let's be fair. Y'all know I've always been the one to say, look, I'm a hardcore sim guy, but we're talking about a video game, and I can't tell somebody how to play the game. You got the right to play the game however you want. If these guys are competing for money, fine. But I would say maybe CFM or maybe on a simulation setting and mimics more of the real world. Because there's no quarterback. Listen, just to give y'all some quick history. You know, I happen to know Aaron Brooks personally. If you guys remember who Aaron Brooks is. You know, my brother's wife, you know, my sister-in-law, her best friend is married to Aaron Brooks. So I've been around him numerous times. I mean, I know him personally. And I've asked him many a time. I was like, yo, how many adjustments have you ever made at the line? He was like, maybe one. He was like, you know, we might call an audible. But I said, well, how many hot routes? And he said, yeah, like one. He said, there's no way that I'm telling this receiver, that receiver, and that receiver to run different routes. He said, that just don't happen. He said, you get a look, you scan the field, you see a matchup, and you do a little something, and that's it. I would love that to be in CFM or, you know, when we're playing a CFM sim style. But, you know, competitive, like Kia said, I understand, you know, we're speaking with guys like Relly and Lights and, you know, Zan and all. I understand why they're doing it. Again, it's the game's lack of capability that causes these guys to do all of these different adjustments. So I get it. So you'll never hear me say, no, you shouldn't do that, or you shouldn't. As long as the game allows certain things, hey, that's more on EA than it is the individual playing it. But I said that's an opportunity, though, where you can expand and separating the modes or whatever. You know, reduce some of those hot routes or reduce some of these millions of plays. Like, you know, I'm the crazy guy that would love in CFM where I got to come into each game with a game plan. I only have X amount of plays. You know, similar to an NFL coach where I decide how many plays I'm going to have on that little flip card. But I don't have the full playbook. I would love that. But that's just where I want to play. You know what I mean? So I won't pin them against each other. I can see the argument on both sides of the coin. You know, so that's just how I feel. Smitty, did you have anything else on that before you? Because I know you had dropped out a little earlier.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Yeah, man. Let me see. That's probably real quick.
There's a guy in our league named Jay Young, and he plays in what they call a no switch league, no hot routes. So you have to run stock plays, and then once the ball is thrown or whatever, you can't switch to the receiver and do no crazy, you know, stuff. So I mean, it's
I played a couple
leagues out there. Yeah, so I mean, it's leagues out there to do that.
You only change one route, and any other changes has to be blocking. 2K Football Online,
but it kind of takes away from
was
have user skill, but you know, I like the idea of it in some instances.
Yeah, it has its plus and minuses. The obvious downside of a no switch league, and you just are only allowed to play on the user that you are usering, is that it leaves you at the mercy of these god-awful pursuit angles on outside runs and stuff like that.
Yeah. And the offense is at an advantage because you automatically get switched to the guy the ball is thrown to or handed off to. And if I can't switch on D, like say I'm playing D-line, I'm just at the mercy. And you still use, like the user on offense can fake out my CPU, you know, like I don't have any opportunity. That's kind of a downside, but because there's no way you can say no switch on offense. unless you just tell the guy to
But
put
see,
the controller
another
in.
thing that we kind of floated around in SSR was playing defensive cam, which has now been emphasized called sim cams, and it cuts out a lot of that. You know, I can see the whole field and hummingbirds back and forth between routes. Defensive cams, and I even floated around the idea of playing on defense. It kind of alleviates some of that, mess you get from the defensive side of the ball.
Apex just threw out a pretty good suggestion. He says QBs who have low awareness let it take longer to hot route. That's not a bad idea.
Yeah,
there are quarterbacks. There are coaches who, depending on who their quarterback is,
will not allow
them to hot route.
Yeah.
The Jets did that with Bryce Petty. He wasn't allowed to change a play. The only thing he could do was, look to the sideline. If a check came in to change a blocking assignment, so be it, because he just doesn't know how to do that. It's not at that level yet. That's not a bad idea at all.
And they have that kind of stuff tech in the game, because if you remember, I know they probably took it out because of CTE, but if your quarterback had a concussion and he came back in the game, he couldn't hot route. He couldn't audible. Game. So that tech is in there. They would just probably have to tie it to awareness as opposed to injury.
it's funny, man, because you see how technically off-field things can affect things that happen on the field. Like, because what Apex is talking about, you remember that was linked to also composure. So when they was on the road, you got the squiggly lines and you couldn't. See that little stuff, man, like that, even those little things like that change the game.
Play that senior quarterback, redshirt that freshman, because he's not going to be able to hot route on road games. I used to do that all the time.
Come on, man. This is the stuff, guys, that we get on Rex and them about, just to give y'all some insight. Because we're like, look, y'all had this. Like, the idea is in-house, whether it was in another game or not. Those kind of things, man, that should have been automatic. Like, to me, and listen, I'm not saying I'm better than anybody else, but if I'm in that room and when we first introduced living worlds and atmospheres, I immediately would have said, well, you know what else we need to put in there that could kind of make people think the atmosphere matters? Why don't we pull that composure thing and throw it in the game? So when you in Seattle and it's, the 12th man is going, that to me should have been an automatic thought process. And I'm not saying that other people didn't think about it, but you can't have those kind of misses when you have features that was in previous games that would take Madden to another level. It's just frustrating, man, to see those little things like that not find its way in the game yet. Real quick, guys, we're at 10 o'clock, man. I don't want to go too far past 10, but, I definitely did want to hit Nathan's topic. He's asked us this before, and the last time we had it as a topic, we ran out of time. So let's hit this real quick. I'll throw it to Smitty, to AZ, and then Kia, and then I'll give my quick thoughts, and we'll be done for the night. But he wanted us to talk about, we've kind of talked about this before, but it's always good to rehash some of these things. He wanted to talk about the potential for player badges and the role system in CFM, like, how 2K has it. Real quick, Smitty, I know what your thoughts are on that, but you can share that again. But, if you wanted to elaborate quickly as far as how you think that would look in Madden.
Like I said, the way I would like to see it, I would basically just want to see what was done, like with APF, except using those player traits and stuff that they have in MUT right now, because that's what I believe that would happen. I mean, that would logically happen is you take those attributes, you take those extra abilities, and you could tie them to players. They actually tie in the players, and they're at different tier levels, just like the cards are in Ultimate Team. It's like similar approach. You don't have to have as many colors, of course, but you can do like gold, silver, bronze. You could do your gold, silver, bronze, and elite status players. So that way, if there are certain things that they have, certain abilities they have, badges, traits, or whatever label you want to give it, they can use those, they can level those up based off of like doing practice, off of practice and stuff like that. They can do that. They can build it up. So that's the kind of thing I would want to see. I would want to see where certain things are built up progressively based off of practice drills and such. Yeah, and then also, like I said, guys that are at certain levels with their attributes, like Tom Brady, he's extremely clutch. He's proven that. That trait would be an elite level. You know what I'm saying? So like that kind of stuff I'm talking about, like an elite level badge. And yes, of course, always like couple it with composure, of course. You know what I'm saying? And that's like what you were saying as well, Sim, like Living Worlds deal. You're in Seattle, that's the 12th man. Tom Brady may be cool as a cucumber, but that rookie or even that tenured quarterback, if he gets popped a few times, you know what I'm saying? He's gonna feel rattled, and all of a sudden he may, that whole dynamic player performance thing. I would love to see that stuff happen. Like traditionally, he's a higher level badge player, but then that level could drop because he's getting lit up, and he won't play as well. So that kind of stuff is what I want to see.
Yeah, man. Real quick before AZ come in, I just want to see little stuff matter. Like, even when I watch Roethlisberger against Cincinnati, for whatever reason, they always get to Ben early. It's the way that the coordinator, man, the way he throws different things at him, it rattles him. And even the Ravens here of late with Pease, how, on third down, everybody up on the line. You don't know if it's man. Like, I want to see that stuff. I want to make him have to figure it out. Or, of course, if I'm controlling the quarterback, maybe my line is a little rattled, like, whoa, like what they doing. I would love to see this kind of stuff in the game, man. But I don't know. Maybe we talking crazy. But AZ, man, what are your thoughts on some type of badge system or what have you? And how would you envision it would look in Madden?
Oh, man, definitely. I hate to say it, but copy off 2K. Copy off what they did, implement what you have already. But as far as what it would look like, you don't have to put the badges on the field like the weapon system, but they just need to be in the game to where you know what you're dealing with when you have a player on your team. Just like we talked about specific roles. You might have a guy who is a pure pass rusher, for instance. He's not good against the run. That needs to show up in the game. You know what I mean? Like, or, situational possession receivers who are really possession receivers. Like, if you get a receiver that has like 88 speed, 85 acceleration, 82 catch, just for instance, he's green all across the board, but he's not overly fast or overly, great in catching. People throw that receiver away. But in real life, let's just say he's Rashard Matthews. Rashard Matthews for the Titans is a clutch receiver. But on Madden, after year 3 of CFM, he's going in free agency, never to be touched again. Because all that starts to matter is speed. So, the traits and stuff like that got to matter. I'll close it out because my computer is dying. But, yeah, man, we could definitely open this can of worms again, another week. But definitely put in badges, more traits, if they want to flesh out the ratings. I'd like to see the ratings go away, honestly. Of course, not all the way, but at least not be front end as they are now, because I know they have to be in the game. So,
yeah, you've been saying it for years, man. A Reggie Wayne type receiver. How can you find him in Madden?
Right. Like 2K did a great job of separating, a big play receiver or just a speed burner as opposed to a guy who had just like sure hands. And you know that if you need to catch, that's who you would go to. And then you had elite receivers.
Oh, I think the computer got him.
Yeah.
Kia, what you got on it, man? What are your thoughts on some type of implementation of a bad system, and how would you envision it looking in Madden?
Yeah, I liked the 2K system as far as in NBA 2K with the tiered badges, and also All Pro Football had that as well. It would make the traits that are in the game, more visible. The traits are there. A lot of people don't even know that they're there or where to find them, and then there's no tangible way of noticing what they're doing. I'll give you an example. When I played All Pro Football 2K8 online a lot back when it was still active, one of my favorite players was Jim Harbaugh, bronze QB. Why? He had laser arm and he had fourth quarter comeback. Laser arm meaning if you charged him up with the X button, it increases throwing accuracy. Fourth quarter comeback, he could be rolling along, playing to his base ratings, but in the fourth quarter, if you're behind, his ratings elevate and he's playing like a gold, throwing darts all over the place. And I love that because, all my games used to be fairly close going into late in the game. So to me, it was worth the value of not having a gold or silver QB. I could get away with a bronze one if I needed a late score. All of a sudden, my bronze is playing like a gold tier. And how many players you see in sports that are streaky like that? Eli Manning is like that in a lot of ways. Eli Manning can look horrible play to play, then all of a sudden catch fire, and he can roll off 10 straight completions. Madden doesn't capture intangibles well. There's no way to capture that kind of player. So an attribute system does that a lot better. You still have your player, still your base player, but depending on the situation, what you're asking him to do, his performance can elevate. Like what Azure was saying with the wide receivers and whatnot. The game doesn't really replicate a receiver like Julian Edelman very well. He just doesn't translate. In Madden, your receiver either has to be really tall, or he has to have 95 catch in traffic, or spec catch. Otherwise, he's not really going to do much, or really, really high route running. But a shifty, quick guy who can, find little spots in coverage, has sure hands, and is quicker than fast, that doesn't really play very well. APF had a receiver, Ernest Givens. He had the quick feet attribute. And he was really, really good on those hitches, those speed outs, and those quick slants. And you could see it because, really good on those routes. But when you try to run him on a deep out, he couldn't get open. But at least he has a role. When I play the Pats in an online game, I'm not concerned with Julian Edelman at all. I'm like, whatever. If he catches the ball, he catches it. But I don't really fear him getting open.
Right.
But if I know that he has this skill set, then I know I'm conscious of having to defend it. And I think that's where, attributes made me more aware when I was playing APF of how to play somebody. Like if I was going up against James Lofton with speed burner and deep threat, and I did not have a very quick corner, I wasn't playing too much pressed up zone or man coverage. Against the slower guys, I could do that. So stuff like that is I think would add a lot of flavor to the game. Absolutely.
Yeah, man. And the last thing I will say to close it out, basically, stemming off of a comment that just came in from Storm B28. He says football is just too hard to replicate. On one hand, I actually agree with that. But on the other hand, you have to do things like what we're talking about. You have to do the things like 2K did with All Pro Football, or what they do with, NBA 2K with the different badges, because that's the only way you can at least make these players start playing more to what they're good at. For instance, you guys know I always talk about my own team. That's the one I know the most. I watch the most. A Juju Smith-Schuster. He's not replicated well in Madden because he's not a high overall. Like, you can't get that physicality and how much he means to the blocking and his sure hands. And you just can't. It doesn't mean anything. I mean, Antonio Brown, the only reason why he's ridiculous in Madden is because, like Kia said, he has the spec catch and all of that at 98, 99, whatever it is. So you see him start to do more. But like Martavis Bryant, is just pure speed. You know, and this Juju Smith-Schuster is just a 70-something overall receiver. None of his attributes plays out. Whereas in 2K8, you know, I can't remember if they had a trait like this, but just for instance, they might have had a trait that said good blocker or something like that, and you would see that receiver actually blocking guys better than the next. So I won't say that it's too hard to replicate. It can be done because you have your NBA 2Ks, your FIFAs that does a good job, and you know the past NFL games, and even Madden 08 with the weapon system, they were starting to do it. So you're gonna have to, like Kia said, there are traits that are in the game. There's just nothing really there that makes us see what's going on. So they're gonna have to start pulling from what they already have. I like the idea that AZ said, use some of that MUT stuff and start putting that on individual players outside of MUT.
Yeah, there's no reason for those MUT chemistries to not be in the game,
right?
Or in CFM rather. It just makes sense to carry them over.
Yep.
And there you have it, you know, and then it's, you know, you're getting a better shot at it of at least trying to replicate these players. I mean, we all know it's a game, but again, when you have other games out here, sports games, whether it's football or not, that are doing these things, you got to look at Madden and be like, hey, man. And you know, we say this every week, but I feel like I always have to say it for, you know, newcomers that may not have ever heard us say this. You know, Rex has said it as much himself. You know, the challenge that Madden has, and he has said it out of his own mouth, is that a lot of times, oftentimes, they're trying to convince those people who are in position of making the decision of direction why something needs to be in the game. That's a problem. I mean, go listen to his interview with the Mutt Men. I encourage everybody to go check that out. I mean, that's really a daggone shame when you have to convince someone this is football, this is why it needs to be in that game. And a lot of times they're like, oh, well, what about this though? That's a hard sell. That's an issue outside of the development team that, you know, it's up to all of us to try to make as much noise as we can so they realize, oh, maybe you guys are right. We do need that. So, you know, we're going to keep pressing on, man. That's all we could do.
Yep.
You know, that's all we all can do is keep pressing on, and hopefully they'll make it happen. So, all right, guys, that's going to do it for tonight's show, man. We definitely want to thank Kia for coming on, Dre from coming on, Drizzy, Leon, he came on. Same guy, but I just said both of his names there. So we thank everybody for participating in the show. Kia, before you go, man, did you have any last words to say here?
Yeah, my greatest plea is, my biggest thing is these sports games are getting, or have gotten, too easy. Everything is geared down to the lowest common denominator. There's a lot of really bad people who play these games, and the game rewards them and caters to them to even the playing field.
Yeah,
that trend has to go away.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, fully agree with that. Because, you know, I mean, I like when I learn stuff. You know, like, let's just be real. When you watch a Kia video or Zan or even O'Reilly, even though O'Reilly is more of the competitive side, but his knowledge of football is there, you should kind of be a little concerned. Like, let's just be real. Like, and just to give Kia his credit while he's here. If you watch a NY Kia breakdown and you got to play him, it should be where you're like, oh, Lord. Because, I mean, he's breaking stuff down where you probably didn't. Like, most people don't know football like that. So if the game was built that way, you should be very concerned having to face NY Kia in Madden, because he's going to throw those football principles on you and going to shut everything down. That's how it should be. It's supposed to be a learning tool. You know, like, you know, everybody was raving over what LeBron said about 2K being the most realistic. That's how people should be talking about Madden. You know, they should be saying, yo, like, you better be on your A game when you playing an NFL player or somebody who knows the game because they know how this is supposed to work. They know their personnel. I want the game to get there. Because I don't know everything about football, but there are a lot of guys that I play that don't have this football acumen that I have. And there's guys who have way more than me, and I should get schooled by them. So I just want the game to get to that point, and then I'll be very, very happy. What you got, Smitty? Last thing before we roll out?
Shoot. Only honestly, the main thing I got is like what you basically said. Madden needs to become a game where people can legitimately use it as that teaching tool like that. Like they can go off of the personality of the players and say, hey, the way that, this receiver plays or the way this rookie plays or this vet plays or whatever, people can honestly go by that. They can go by that information and be like, yo, it's replicated that way in Madden. I'm telling you, this game is replicating it right and all that stuff. Skills, attributes, the whole nine, but it doesn't do any of that right now. It's too rough. You know what I mean? And I know that, and we all know that the devs got that uphill battle with trying to get the game the way that we truly want it in that fashion. So it's going to take them work to get it there, but hey, these guys can get it. It's just that it's unfortunately going to take them time. And I'll say this last point. With Madden, okay, I know, people call for these dudes' jobs and all that stuff and everything and all that good stuff. But the main thing we got to also understand here with all that is that Rex has only been here 6 years. Rex and Clint, this is their 6th game that they've worked on. When people say, look, we all say we want 2K to make a football game and all that stuff based off of what we see. We base it off of what we see with NBA 2K. But what you also got to understand is those devs have been working on that game. You got dudes, lead guys that are on positions like Rex that have been working on the game for nearly 15 years at that same position. So you got dudes that are nearly a decade plus over Rex. So it's like to put this small window on Rex and just make out this big old gaping one on 2K. That's why I look at it like, well, it's kind of between a rock and a hard place with it. But that's why, like Rex has said, it's going to take, like he's telling us about all the struggles and battles he has to deal with because he needs the press from us to help convince, because the public speaking goes a mighty long way. So we just got to keep on pressing, like what Sim said. Just keep on pressing.
Yeah, that's it, man. So that's going to wrap up the show, man. I feel sorry for the Falcon fans because Matt Ryan, I don't know what he's doing, man.
He's become pre-Shanahan Matt Ryan again.
Wow. I mean, he just is throwing them.
That's what happened there.
2 interceptions. And, I mean, does he not realize they're probably playing for their season tonight? And tough situation there. But like always, guys, hope everyone enjoys their weekend. Hope your teams, I wish them well. If you guys are watching tonight, you guys are probably on pins and needles if you're a Falcons fan. And, of course, if you're a Ravens fan, can't wish you well this week. But outside of that, man, we enjoyed the show. We'll be back next week with another show. And don't forget, guys, don't be afraid or shy or what have you. Send us topics. I would love nothing more than to only cover community topics. And don't be afraid to come on the show, whether you are on the show tonight, showing your face, or like how Kia did tonight. And, he's just here on a voice call. Either one, but feel free to not only just call in like he did and how Drizzy did, but if you want to be an actual panelist, let us know early enough in the week so we can, strategize around, what type of topics you want to cover. But that's going to do it, man. We're going to get up out of here. Appreciate all the support, and we'll catch you guys next week at the same time. All right, y'all be easy. Have a good weekend. Peace.
Peace.